And now you've got something that's going into the ground that they haven't researched yet, and it definitely does say on the label for the rampart about doing it near the water. And right now, the water table's pretty low because we're having a drought, but, you know, if that catches on. Not everybody's going to be as conscientious. I realize you're conscientious coming to us, and everybody's not going to be that conscientious, and they're going to be doing it. And, you know. Yeah,
that's what we're afraid of, that
right.
It's going to be a chain reaction.
Right.
Yeah, and that did come to my mind. And again, I think we're okay either way. It's just we kind of want to know one way or another. Can we do it? Can we not? Should we do it? Should we not? Just so we can kind of move along with, you know, just a.
And just to be clear, how many trees will we talk about?
It's one very large, two maybe, I don't know, maybe 30-year-old. I'm not an expert, but two good-sized trees. One very large, two fairly good size, and probably a few saplings that are just kind of, you know, in the area. But again, I don't know what's better for the environment, is to just let the trees go and, you know, the lake or you know, it's like we need Solomon here.
Yeah, there are pluses and minuses in both cases.
Yeah,
protect the tree, protect the water supply.
Yep.
And
that we don't know if we're actually even going to protect the tree. That's part of the issue too, is that it could be, you know, we might do the treatment and it doesn't work.
She wouldn't let me use the quote, but she did say it was like throwing away your money, because they've really done research and said that it really doesn't, and it is being sold to you by and we've seen that before with herbicides and stuff, you know, that it's their business to.
Yeah, but the plant pathologist at UMass Amherst also recommended the same treatment. So, and he again didn't, I mean, I think it is kind of, we don't know what will work and we don't know, we're trying different things, and that's like the one option that might work at this point. And
that's what Tom said, was to err on the side of safety. Right. That's why they're opposed.
I mean, you read the information.
Yeah, I didn't read the whole 18 pages.
No, it cures everything except measles. Yeah. You know, I mean, this is unbelievable what they use. It's been around a long time, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's used for crops and things.
Primarily a fungicide.
So,
in addition to Nancy speaking to DCR, I spoke with DEP. And that's actually how we got the contact information. And they weren't as emphatic, but they were definitely cautious about an untested system, and they weren't really very much in favor. And her name is Callie Harper. Oh, yeah. So if you wanted, I would suggest speaking with her.
What is her name? Callie
with a C.
Yeah.
Harper.
And she's at
DEP in Lakeville.
Lakeville Southeast Regional Office.
Okay. Yeah, I had sent them a copy of I'm learning all these terms.
She's a wetlands person.
So besides even just making a decision for us, I guess, I mean, it's on your radar. Do you know if there are any plans to kind of address it in the town, the disease?
I spoke to a tree service down in Wareham, right on the harbor where I had another house, and the tree service said, "What?"
Oh,
they had not even heard of it. Okay. Not even heard of it. And one of the workers said, "Oh, it's some kind of bug, I think."
Nematodes. So, I know I'm learning all this stuff. Nematodes. So
what's going to happen is, come spring, when so many of these beaches are not putting out leaves. Is when people are going to wake up and say, "Whoa, what's going on?"
Yeah, and they're such beautiful trees. It's
old trees, big trees. I don't know how big your trees are, but I mean, 200, 250-year-old beaches are common.
Yeah, how old? I don't know. I mean, it's been there for the 30 years we've been there, and it was big then, so it's an old tree.
Well, on the lighter side, I just coming back from Franconia Notch, and at the base of the Old Man, or at least what's left, there's a whole cluster of beech trees, really huge ones, and I didn't see any evidence. Which
so hopefully that's isolated
enough. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, it's the center part of the state, and down this way.
And here, okay.
And soon after I started emailing with you, I went wandering around my property.
Yeah, that's what you had said. So, well, we live in Boston, and there's concern because there's a lot of just old, you know,
and
trees.
City trees,
yeah,
just
so.
How city trees even live, I don't know.
So, yeah, so.
All right, it's time for a motion. Anyone care to make one?
What are we doing?
Either for or against.
Well, I guess I make a motion for a positive termination, which that's against.
Okay.
Which means we have to permit it.
No, positive means no.
We're not permitting it.
Right.
That we are subject and are.
So it's the backwards thing.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Okay.
Positive one is
I
bad.
think we should give her another week or two, take the information from tonight's meeting, maybe make some more phone calls. I hate to not let them treat these trees, even if this is a test one that we do to get feedback to see if there's positive results in any way. As long as the utmost caution is taken around the resource area. Because I hate to think that we neglected and the nematodes that are affecting these 3 trees then continue out, and we stopped it.
I don't even know if we have the authority to approve it.
Well,
You have.
Talking about
Because of effect on the water.
the other issue is that it sounds like when I talked to the guy at UMass, he said we needed to do it by like next week. Otherwise it's too late because the buds are already forming and yeah. So we've been talking back and forth, I think, for about a month now. So
this is an expensive proposition that you want to do here too.
So yeah,
you know?
I mean, and maybe again, I like the trees, but I want to do what's best for the environment. And I mean, maybe those trees aren't the best to try it on then if we're concerned about the water. Maybe it's better to try it on some that are farther away from the water, and that's not, it's a moot point. I don't know.
I think that's well said.
So
I'll second Nancy's motion with discussion.
Okay.
I think, I fear that you treat them this year, maybe they look good next year, and then they get it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're treating them, you're in front of us 2 years from now, and it just creates this spiral of you being here every 2 years to treat with these potentially dangerous chemicals right next to the pond. I don't want to see the beech trees go, but it's almost a way to stop it is to remove the beech trees. Potentially save.
The city of Worcester did that some years back. They actually cut down most of the city trees. I forget what particular disease it was.
Was it the Japanese beetle?
No,
that was a
I'm not sure what it was. I mean, we've had it happen to so many. We lost practically every chestnut in New England.
Yeah. Well, and they're talking about climate change with with the droughts and stuff. It just the trees get so weak, and then they're just susceptible to.
And unfortunately, it's not only your property.
No, it's not.
Moon Pond Road, I saw multiple beech trees with the same thing. And,
once you know what the leaves look like, this
they kind of.
It's scary.
And
obvious.
The canopy is not full, and they're kind of crinkly leaves. And
it sounds like even giving you some time to get some more information puts you outside the window of treating.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. I don't think. I mean, because we're kind of at the end of that anyway. But
my vote, what it's worth, would be against it. No offense.
No, I mean, I'm not offended because again, I'm not sure what the right thing to do is. So.
Okay. I hope you understand. So. I think you do.
There was a motion made. Was there a second?
I second.
We had a second. So, any other discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Which is a positive.
Which is a positive.
Which is against.
They can't do it. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against?
I'm opposed.
Opposed. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's again. I was seeking a decision one way or another, so it's good to have.
Well, we wish you good luck.
So
in any case.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe against odds, it'll come back. But yeah, and if there's, if you ended up doing anything, if you kind of form a committee. I'm not here in the area, but I'd love to be part of it. Right? I'm in Boston, yeah.
I think that in the year to come and the year after that, there's going to be a lot more publicity about this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's something that can be done. I mean, we've lost various kinds of trees throughout my lifespan, just to do anything about it. You know, once it gets going, and then the worst part is, what ends up happening, you know, the beaches die because somebody cuts them down, cuts them up, sells them for firewood, which
yeah, spread this further.
It's even more. I've already, I think I might have mentioned to you in an email at some point, that in some of my RV publications, they're already warning about this. You know, they're pretty much against transporting firewood across the country, anywhere. Most campgrounds, you don't bring your firewood in here, you don't know where it came from. And they're already specifically beach leaf disease.
Right. And nobody's against trying to, but make sure we do the right thing and err on the side, because our water supply is the most valuable resource that we have. So we can't live without it.
We spend so much time down on the pond, so I mean, we love the pond, so.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda, 18 Fuller Shores. This is a request for a certificate of compliance. I've checked it out, everything. I'm satisfied with the work that's been done, and all we need to do is vote to issue the certificate if there aren't any issues.
It's all good?
It's all good.
That's the one that had the really good siltation barriers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 18 Full Shores Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have Park Shores. This is also an RDA. If you'd like to step up and the microphone.
A lot of pond people here.
Yeah, it says. My name is Joan Moran. I'm representing Clark Shores Association. I'm the president of Clark Shores.
How you doing?
Good. How are you tonight, Bob?
Good, thank you. You want to start with a little history about how we got to where we are? That might be helpful.
Sure. I'll leave out the drama. How's that? What happened is pre-COVID, we approached, I think, Bob at the time, to do some maintenance on our beaches in boat ramp to remove some vegetation that started to become invasive and take over the beaches. And then COVID hit, so nothing got done. And then we reconnected with Bob a couple months ago, give or take. And he said, explained to Bob, actually walked him through it to what we were going to do. We weren't removing any trees or anything like that, just cutting some poison ivy, sumac, those grapevine leaves. I have them all in the package that we discovered there. So then we basically spent some time looking for somebody who would do it, a landscaper. It's not easy. Trying to find a small business these days. We found one. We told Bob what we were going to do, and then we started work. You came down, you looked at it, said we were going to do a good, it was going as we told you it was. Nothing changed. And then the abutters became upset. And then we had another visit from Bob, and then we had a visit from Joe, and then I had a call from Callie from the DEP who issued a cease and desist. And then when Bob and I talked, we went back to the RDA.
Right.
And that's where we are today.
Okay, one thing, Bob, I've noticed this on a lot of RDAs lately. We just need to check what they're asking for. Nobody's been checking on the RDA what they're asking for, so I would say that you're asking for C, which is whether the work depicted on the plan reference below is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act.
There is
I didn't know what to do, and I called the conservation office. No one called me back, and I knew I had to get in by a certain date.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah,
Thank you. Just make sure that's what the question we're answering.
Yeah, the attachment pretty much explains it all, I think.
Right, but still on the form.
So you're right.
What should have been checked, Nancy? I just want to update my form.
C.
C.
It's like you're asking the Lakeville Conservation to do one of these things, but nothing's checked.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Thank you for the future.
Yep.
So to fill in a little bit, as you mentioned, we were out there a couple of times as a result of either your calling or the butters, and we observed some of the work that was being done. And in the beginning, I was satisfied that it was consistent with the original plan, but after one of the other repeat phone calls, I guess, that we got, I went out there and I thought that maybe we were getting a little out of line, a little off the track, and that's why I pull you back in a little bit, and we specified exactly where we want the limit of pruning to be, okay? And I guess that's when things got a little heated. But for the most part, I was satisfied with the work that was being done. I think needed to be addressed a little bit, which we did on several occasions. So this RDA really is a follow-up, like I said, to the original one. It's a means of sort of addressing, not necessarily mistakes.
Closing a paperwork loop for them.
Exactly.
Could I ask a couple questions,
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair? Is anybody here in opposition of this? You guys were all kind of talking together.
They're all members of our board.
So my questions would go to ownership. You have a list of 6 properties.
Yes.
On here. I assume that the Clark Shores Association has ownership and or maintenance of those.
Yes.
Looking through the photos, I think it was Second Beach. Just want to make sure I'm talking about the right one. Yeah, so there's a photo of Second Beach that shows us, it's page 8. It looks like it shows an overgrown chain link or a stockade fence.
Yes, the first picture, yes.
Yep. It looks like it's covered with bittersweet or something horrible that needs to be removed. So I guess my concern and just the limitations that we just want to make you adhere to is that fence a property line that you're not going over it?
Yes, we just trim it on our side of the beach, and it would be up to the people on the other side to maintain their property.
Yeah. That's really my concern, because I know we came across this recently at down at Huckleberry Shores.
Right.
Who owns
where we
property?
put the task on those folks to try and prove ownership of the property that they wanted to maintain. As long as they have that, I'm in full support. And I think that giving them the RDA in writing, hopefully that quells all of the opposition. And at least it gives them, you then call this number, we have permission and we have in writing.
And that's what we're here for. And if you look at all the beaches, I mean, I didn't give you a shot on all of them. They're pretty well delineated, our property lines.
Yeah.
There was one area, to be honest, that we thought wasn't our area, so we were very careful, and that was the boat ramp area. It turns out, actually, after the owners that abut the boat ramp did their survey, the homeowner, that basically they're like 15 to 20 feet on our property.
They're mowing your yard.
No, they're just
maintain whatever.
They're not maintaining it.
Using it.
They have their fence on our yard, I guess. Yeah. Yes. So everywhere else, if you drove down and looked at it, it's you can see it. It's all.
So you're taking down your fence?
That's not for me to decide. I don't vote. I'm the president. It's up to the board.
But I was satisfied with the work that was done as far as the limits of pruning, as I understand it to be.
You're not removing any stumps or roots or anything?
No, there's really no stumps or roots there. It's mostly, Big Beach is a lot of vines. The boat ramp was all vines. First, second, third, all vines. Third, a little more bushes. And actually, if you look at second, all we're doing is actually that's the same side. So we're basically going down the left-hand side of it. The right-hand side, the owners on the other side keep their part clean, so there's nothing climbing over it.
Yeah, and that was very specific about no trees, no
right,
stumps.
And we need all the shade we can get on the larger beaches.
So that.
I'm good.
Anyone else?
I'm good.
I'm good. We did it before. When I was at the agent, we did the same thing, only on one of the beaches though, but
we've actually brought a lot of them up, so they're all active beaches now.
I would ask that we continue the procedure that when you do this, you notify me so that I can come out and verify where you are and what the limits.
Sure. We'll let you know once we get in touch with our landscaper again, when he's going to begin process again.
Is there a allowable term that an RDA could stay active, to say that we could let them do this for 2 seasons in perpetuity and then come back and if they needed to reapply? Or
I'm not sure you can renew order of conditions. Can you renew an RDA?
No.
RDAs are valid for 3 years.
3 years anyway.
That's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good to know.
Right. All right, so I make a motion that we issue a negative determination, which is a good thing. Okay. We've been through that before with the negative, people get all outraged. No, negative's good, and that means that we don't think you're gonna hurt the wetland. So, a negative determination with condition that you keep in constant contact with Bob so that he can supervise how it goes.
I second that motion.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor?
Discussion before.
Oh,
I'm sorry, yeah, it's my opportunity. How much work do you have left to do?
Good question.
We really only touched Big Beach, and not all of it, just one side to the right.
Okay.
Really didn't do the left side of the boat ramp because we were concerned it wasn't our property. First, Little Beach, we did some because it was further back.
On the left
We talked to
side?
Joe, yes.
Okay.
And we had a conversation with the owner next door who asked if we could actually do more for her. So that up there is a little, first beach, we haven't done anything. Second beach, nothing. Third beach, nothing. So when we had the issue at Big Beach, we were told to maybe move to another beach and
And you
start
can
there.
work through the fall, weather permitting.
Weather permitting and our landscapers
away at it.
availability.
Yeah.
And what about the runoff in that ditch that was excavated and then replaced? Are you still gonna do some work in there?
I mean, we've had it engineered at one point, probably next spring, early spring. I think we may revisit that. I think we just want to take one issue at a time here.
All right, that's fine. It's the same thing. If you do decide to do some work, I'd like to see the plan first.
No, definitely, yeah, we had it. Like I said, it was engineered by a local company.
Good.
And what's your determination on how much you're clearing? If it's
Depending
just
on the property.
Access? Is it access? Is it you're trying to gain more room to utilize?
I think it's just more, one, they're invasive. We want to get rid of them because they're just growing out of control.
They're taking over the beach.
They're taking over the beach. On Big Beach, I think it's just to clear it to make it look better because there is a lot of trash. People throw things. Poison ivy's running rampant there. Children are getting it because they throw the football in the bush. They go in the bush. They don't get the briars. They get the poison ivy. The boat ramp was more of the boat ramp was closing in and people were getting their boats scratched. So that became an issue.
Okay.
Little Beach, just basically clouding in. It's a smaller beach. First, second, and third. First and second is basically trimming what's hanging over the fence. Third is clearing to our fences to try to remove some trash because it seems people decide to throw tires. And I think we actually have boat seats in one beach in the bushes.
I'm all set.
So we have a motion and a second, and the discussion was had.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate all the help.
In your packets, you found copies of 2 newspaper articles from the Boston Globe. I had Laurie copy these and put them in your package. Both of them have to do with trees going bye-bye. That spotted Latinfly, wow, is unbelievable. That emerald ash borer, which is still around.
Yep.
And you see a headline that says, as many as 1 in 6 U.S. tree species at risk of extinction. You read that article, it scares you to death. The more I was emailing Sue Sorensen back and forth, I mean, I never even heard of this disease until about 90 days ago. And everything I learned about it scared the hell out of me. We're gonna lose so much. I mean, they're basically all shade trees. And they
Old growth hardwoods.
old growth hardwoods. And you see in this, the first one about the 6 different tree species, they give an example of a typical tree out there. It's an older tree that's been around for a while, might have gotten a few diseases, maybe some animals nested in it. It's getting old, might have had some fire damage to it.
Well, the bark has cracks.
Yeah, and just, it's unbelievable. I think all of this, anyone that lives near the water and is having trouble with trees is going to be coming to conservation commissions all across the country. So I had to throw that in there. And depressing to read, but you know, we've seen
gotta keep-
this cycle before.
Yeah, we're gonna see some more, no question.
Yeah.
No question.
Is there such a thing as a chestnut anymore?
There's still some.
There's still some chestnut trees, some elms?
Yeah, there's some elm.
There's some elms around.
I don't know where, but
Yeah.
they're probably hidden somewhere.
Okay. Oh, Mullen Rule is next, Mr.
Next.
Chairman, right?
Yep.
That's the one that lets you miss, what, one
Meeting.
meeting?
This is rare for us, really,
Yeah.
that we would miss a meeting or wouldn't be able to watch it on cable
Yeah, because
because,
our meetings don't go on and on and on and on and on and on.
They used
You know, at one time they did, but you know, we will continue a hearing. But to continue a hearing for a second time is very rare for us.
they also used to go till,
Yeah,
Midnight.
yeah, we remember that one. Okay.
So that's it? Nothing else? What's planning doing?
So this was put forward by the planner with the effort if we had a special permit hearing. Some of those could go on 4 or 5 meetings. And so they felt it was wise to not only, we're gonna potentially have an alternate member as well as adopt the Mullen Rule just in case somebody missed, you know, the 4th out of 5 hearings.
I like that idea.
Just, you know, in the effort, and the alternate member would only be able to vote on special permit things, not on everything the planning board does, because you're not looking to nullify a member as much as keep a supermajority voting to not have a split board of, you know, two and two, because one person had to, it's also, the alternate member thing would be also if somebody had to recuse themselves in a butter, you know.
Sure. Which does.
But the Mullen Rule is, again, strictly for special permits, just to make sure that everybody still could be able to vote unless they had a conflict.
So is the Conservation Commission, which doesn't really issue special permits, even?
Well, it's the special permits would be the only thing for the planning board.
Okay.
But they call out adjudication, so I don't know if.
be a hearing. It would be, we
Public
have official
hearings.
hearing.
I think would qualify. So it's ZBA, Concom, and Planning Board would be the three boards that, if they so chose, you don't have to adopt it, but what happens then is it negates, and right now we're short members.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
remind me at the end. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's basically, you know, that was my point. We're short members, so there's 5 of us tonight. If somebody, I know John's still on the board, but right now we're in the position, if we're all here, there's a split vote too, because we don't have that other member.
Actually,
And I know for our next meeting, the 27th, I'm gonna be in Palm Springs, California.
I'm not gonna, oh, no, that's October. I'm not gonna be here October.
So I won't be at the next meeting.
The 25th, whatever.
So, you know, I believe the planning board is going to adopt it as just a no-brainer. I would assume that ZBA would, but I can't speak for them, and it's here for us to just to decide if we want to or not.
Okay.
Josh has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we'll rarely use it. Hopefully we won't have to, but I'll make a motion that we adopt the Mullen Rule.
Okay.
I'll second that.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That was easy.
Carry it away.
While I think of it, well, since you brought
We
it
got
up.
minutes to do, what if you want to do that first?
Yeah, let me do this first. Since you're talking about additional members, we're down one. We've gotten a request from Anthony Zucco to join one of our various boards, either Conservation, Planning, ZBA, or I guess that's it.
Why is that name familiar?
Anthony Zucco.
He's an electrician.
The father or the son?
The son.
The son.
He
My
built that
former
house
student.
on Betty's neck.
His dad was my former student.
Right.
That's right. Okay.
What about Penny's name?
Has he been
Betty's
in front
Neck
of us?
Road, the house on the right-hand side.
The new house? That was
Yeah.
where I got 2 tick bites? And
That one.
Okay.
That one.
That one.
Sawyer.
He's expressed interest.
Yeah.
Has he put a letter into the selectmen? I mean,
Yes.
with planning board's full, so it would only be if we opted for the alternate member thing, and it's elected anyway. But Concom being appointed, if he's put a letter in, Does he have a resume or anything he wants to put in?
Actually, I thought,
talk about it?
I thought Lori sent it out, but if she didn't.
Oh, no, didn't see anything.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll take care of it tomorrow then.
Okay.
We should put on our agenda for our next meeting.
All right, let's do that.
Dan, do you have contact info and maybe he could come in?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on the
Your email?
resume that he sent.
Okay.
So that would,
And we know where to
Give us
find
time
it.
to look at it.
that'd bring us back to a 7-member board.
Yes,
So we have to have an odd number.
and he has a lot of construction
Yeah.
experience, so.
It's always
it might
good
be
to
a
have people in the building trades on a conservation commission.
But we have 2 already.
Yep.
Third can't hurt.
One other thing I want to bring up, in response to Nancy's concerned about posting a notice. It's my understanding from the regulations that an RDA doesn't require, it requires an agenda, but not a legal ad.
Right, but it's under our submittal requirements.
You're right, I agree.
Yeah.
What happened is when the pandemic started, we were relieved of that obligation and we never went back to it. So there have been some instances where we did require, or it was done voluntarily, and there are some times when it's not. In this case, I didn't see the necessity, nor for the other one, for the trees. But if you want to go back to adopting that policy on a regular basis, I'm all for it.
I would say if it was in the paper, there are people from Long Pond Association that have done a lot of work to get those weeds out of the pond that might have attended and been interested what that was about. Because it does say treatment of beach, it does say on our agenda, but people don't always go on the website to look at the agenda, so.
All right. So what does the commission?
Did we ever
favor?
vote to take it off our submittal requirements?
No,
like I said, it was-
state,
Governor's orders with
Yeah.
the relief of a lot of regulation for open meetings with the Zoom stuff too.
Yeah, like you're not checking off all the green
Yeah.
cards and
So
everything.
we could
too,
leave it
during
as is and do it on a case-by-case basis, but then you run the risk of not being fair. or
Consistent, right?
Consistent.
Is there a reason why you would do it on one and not on another? And I'm not,
I think you gotta be consistent, and I think it's, so that the word gets out, so that people in the neighborhood or whatever just have another chance to be able to attend and voice their opinion. Rather than see
So-
the yard next door being dug up for us,
so
whatever.
where it's not a legal requirement, but we, in our rules and regs, require it,
Right,
what is the standard for what constitutes an abutter by our standards?
100 feet.
100 feet of the property.
Well, we've never specified that. That's DEP's
Right,
criteria.
well, we're kinda under DEP, we run by DEP
But we're
regulations.
still.
Yeah, but we're
like Mark's saying,
exceeding DEP's regulation by
Right.
requiring this.
the
If
assumption,
we had a bylaw, it'd be another story.
the assumption on the part of DEP years ago, in chapter 131, section 40 was first created, was that an RDA would be for really minor work. And if we issued a positive determination, then it would go to a filing, and then people would be notified. DEP didn't think it was necessary to go to the paperwork of notifying, running the ads, all that sort of stuff, just for an RDA. It's just that sometimes people try to get a lot of work done in an RDA request.
Could I make a suggestion of to me, it's a minor change, but a change to our requirement to keep the RDA notification, but to limit it to direct abutters. So any abutter withstanding directly in contact with the subject property would be notified. And to me, that's, I'm not saying it's a hardship, but you get into Clark Shores, and this one guy has 3 abutters, but he has to notify 12 people. And it's really already, I think, a bit of overreach on minor work on this guy's property if you wanted to put a fence post.
But when you're in tiny little lots, that's the end result. I mean, there are very big proposals for work that involve only notification to maybe 3 people. And this might be an 80-acre project. It just happens to have only 3 big abutters. But when you get to the small properties, you get the list. Everyone that comes down to us for anything, anywhere down the water, you always see how long that list is. They have 18 abutters. It's one house. How come they have 18 abutters?
Because all the lots are only 40 feet wide, so
there you go.
You're notifying people 3 houses away for.
It's astounding, yeah. I know.
Some guy putting an above ground pool in. To me, it's unfair.
Yeah.
We're creating.
The one size doesn't fit all.
Well, we've seen RDAs lately for septic systems also.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I feel that sometimes the RDA should be NOIs, but I mean, I don't complain about it every time, you know?
I agree with that, Nancy, and that's a different thing though. You know, to me, it's probably a better standard for us to say, it's a septic system. Yes, it would be a little bit more filing, a tick more cost.
People's wells and things like that.
No, it's great belt and suspenders from a paperwork standpoint to say, you got an NOI with that. It was filed with the state. Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Just say septic upgrade, but just do that, septic upgrade, NOI.
Almost like the Beach Street thing. I actually thought from the very beginning, the thing with doing an NOI is that not only does DEP do the file number, but they have to respond with comments.
Yep.
And we had to chase down DEP, DCR, and everything about the beach trees. Whereas if it had just been a notice of intent, DEP would have done a file number and they would have given us the comments that we had to go chasing.
But in nowhere in there was it supposed to be an NOI because it started as an emergency cert.
Right, and that's another thing we don't really have, what constitutes an emergency.
As an emergency cert.
I agree with that too. I mean, I feel like if there was a treatment that was proven.
Right, but the more we find out about it, you know, a lot of unproven technology there.
Yep.
Do we charge a fee to anyone putting in an application to post it in the paper?
No,
They pay for the ad.
They pay for the ad.
There's a $75 fee for filing an RDA.
Right.
But they pay for the ad and they pay for the mailings.
Yeah.
Which, forgive me for questioning this, but 16 Anderson Way, what was the decision? We went back and forth and I didn't write it down.
We decided
we continued it.
We did continue
it.
Because we didn't have enough.
Okay, that's what
yeah.
So that he could gather more.
We wanted to know groundwater, things like that.
Remember my comment, I'm assuming the pool is not for this season.
Yeah. All right.
So he's not real rushed up.
Yeah, the plan leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Even how far the pool is off the wetland line.
Right, it doesn't really say.
It looks like it's less than 100 feet.
I think it is.
Just eyeballing it.
The lawn back there is a nice lawn, but there is a taper to it. It's not dead level. And I think the lot, back when Anderson Way was put in, a continuation of Anderson Road, Anderson Street, whatever it was, I think there may have been some low-lying wetland areas back there.
Well, it's quite a ways back and it's
headed over towards Dunham Pond too, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a stone wall there, so there's actually a change in elevation.
Yeah.
All right.
We have minutes?
Minutes, I think that's all that's left. July 12th.
I had a question on the minutes. Yeah.
What'd you see?
At the end. About the Clear Pond discussion, I just wondered if we ever followed up on the amount of sand that went to Clear Pond, and John LeBlanc said we were looking for verification where they got the sand, because there was some questions about they went and dumped the sand.
Yeah,
and
Bob reached out to them and then he got the information that we asked for. He emailed me personally, but those questions were answered.
So where did it come from?
Their usual suppliers that they use for salt and sand.
Okay.
For the winter.
Hopefully not with the salt.
Oh, so it wasn't, I thought it was a donation.
Washes out
What's that?
after several rains.
It was a donation.
It was a
I believe,
donation?
yeah.
From the same company? So they, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was all I had.
Okay, then I make there was one minor spelling mistake. I already got it corrected with Laurie. I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for July 12th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I had one question about 8 Paul Ave.
Oh, yes.
Did they ever hear from Natural Heritage? Have they been able to start? Or?
Yo.
Did I show you this?
No, they did get a letter, yes.
Did I show you this?
But no, they can't.
I don't know.
They can't start. They need to hire a mussels expert, and they need to do a sweep, and we're talking about a long list of things.
Boy.
He's trying to appeal it.
Yeah.
Although there's no appeal process apparently. But his claim is that he's out of the wet and therefore not subject.
I got a number of calls
Where the work is actually going to be done. So
I'm talking with a bunch of
he was going to contact them and see if we could get a clarification at least
You're on the other side
prior to a formal.
They don't even use the word. They've been.
Right, look at California.
Wow.
So we didn't really conclude the question about the RDA mailings. We discussed it a little bit, and then it got way off track with talking about NOIs for septic systems.
Do we want to, you know, follow up. What we could do is still do it on a case-by-case basis, and we can always vote to either have it apply or not apply.
But that means we're going to put them on the agenda,
And not open.
not talk about it, or we're kicking it back to go do the mailing after the fact.
When we accept an application, we would make a decision on whether we thought it would require notification, and if it did, or that would be subject to a vote.
They don't have to notify abutters on an RDA.
No.
They only have to put it in the paper.
Oh, it has to be paper of record. Yeah.
Right, so it wouldn't have to be all that about a notification. It puts it in the paper so that even if it's a small lot like that, it gives the people an opportunity.
Is the newspaper ad required for RDA?
No.
Well, depends. It's in our submittal requirements.
It's not required
It's not
by state
illegal.
standards.
Right.
So Bob had asked the question, do we want to keep it or not?
I think we should keep it because I think that the RDAs are getting more, not simple things. Like I say, we've seen septic systems in RDAs lately, and the least we can do is make sure it's in the paper so that that's a way that abutters will be notified, seeing as if they're well, that the septic systems worry me because that affects people's well. And especially on small lots like Clark Shores.
And again, it's a small lot. The guy that wants to put the pool in, he's on 3.1 acres. And it's basically all high ground.
One of the objectives.
What if it's a 7,000 square foot lot or 10,000 square foot lot, and the guy wants to put a pool in? Big difference in that.
You can't, because it'll go over on his lot coverage.
We'd go over it, certainly would. 25% house allowed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that it might be too subjective. And then we'll have people coming to us, oh, well, why didn't he have to?
Yeah.
I had to, why didn't?
Mm-hmm.
So
Your statement, you want to make it equal for all.
Right.
And again, I'm fine with making all septic upgrades NOIs. I don't think I think that's a benefit to the applicant in the long run, even if it's slightly more money for them to apply that way, and it might take an extra 2 or 3 weeks. Unless it was an absolute emergency,
Right.
I would be fine with all septics being
septic
NOIs.
upgrades would be NOIs?
I don't have a problem with that. Like I say, it's just from a paperwork standpoint, it's good belt and suspenders to say, you know, it was an NOI, it was filed with the state, everybody knows about it. Mm-hmm. And so when, you know, they do a title search on a house and they look back, they can see all that.
That would make me feel a lot better, actually.
But, you know, with a swimming pool or things like that, I think that RDAs are perfect for that. Or somebody wants to come in and do a lot of these little projects that you have them do an RDA. I think those are fine. But then, to my point, I think if we're doing that, if we're making that separation to say all septics require an NOI, then I think the RDA, if it is smaller projects, it doesn't require the mailing or the extra, but.
We sort of count on the engineer that the applicant has gone to in the first place to do the initial determination of whether it's an RDA or an NOI, right?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth over the years, whether we did it or they did it. And in both cases that we ran afoul, there's always a hitch. And one of them is the timing. I think the RDA allows a little bit of extra time to get it done. If it's an NOI.
NOI is 21 days, right?
Right. And so you have to put the notice in the paper almost 3 weeks in advance in order to get it listed in time for our meeting.
Yeah.
So that's one of the downfalls, one of the hang-ups with posting a notice.
Septic repair that's failing and failure.
Right.
The advantage is getting expedited.
Getting it done, exactly.
And this thing with the newspaper notification, I mean, you know that's going to go all electronic sooner rather than later.
Which it should.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's the other thing, is like, we're having all this discussion, but I don't really think we should decide anything tonight, because I think it should be on the agenda before we make any kind of a policy change.
That's fine, but I'm glad he asked. It's a good heads up on the new business that we talk about it. We don't want to decide and put it on the next agenda.
Right.
Yeah, I think let's kick it around a little bit more.
Right.
That's fine.
Bob, you're writing it on your piece of paper right there, right now, right?
Discuss RDA requirements.
Thank you.
For notification.
Because if your memory is anything like mine.
What memory?
Exactly.
Is the next line adjourn? Because I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
It is. I was right. So I have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.